Good evening. Welcome to Speaking in Your Basement. We'll just intro the idea of acceptance today. There's a lot to say on it. There's a lot you can do with it. I look at it in sort of it's almost advanced relaxation, particularly if you practice relaxing regularly. It doesn't have to be anything epic, just a moment where you take time away from everything else and you take a few deep, slow breaths and just get to a nice centered space. You can do this in the middle of your day if you can find the space to do it, if you can find the focus to do it, find the time to do it. But at the beginning of the day or the end of the day, either one will work. You just take some time and relax. Just a few moments, a few deep, slow breaths. When you go a level beyond that, that's physical relaxation. That helps with emotional relaxation. Of course, emotional relaxation helps with it as well. Acceptance is more focused on the emotional relaxation side, if you like to call it that. You're having something challenging coming up, and rather than resisting it or fighting it, you're just letting it be. At some point, you might even welcome it. Welcome it, recognizing that there's something interesting on the other side of it, or there's something interesting about it you might not have seen yet. And sometimes welcoming it because this is life. You only have so much of it. So however much you can face in a positive way, face it in a positive way when you can. But a lot of times early on, it's not welcoming. It's not anything like that. It's trying to move from fighting it to accepting it. Just it's here and it's here. That's just the way things are. You don't have to be positive or particularly negative about it. And if you are negative, you can accept that. Like it's here right now and I don't want it to be here. I'm really fighting it hard and I'd like to fight it less because I think I'd get through it faster, but right now I'm fighting it, and I guess that's what's happening right now. So you can accept at any level, any emotion that's coming up. So if you're having a ton of excitement about something to the point that you're getting a little unhinged on it, you can just accept that. It's like, I'm a little bit overly excited right now. And sometimes, of course, you can do things that facilitate a little bit. Walking around might help you work through some of your excitement, as opposed to trying to sit down through it. But if you're feeling really tired, and it's okay if you go to sleep, sometimes you sit down to just get comfortable with the fact that you're tired. Or you could try the acceptance even while standing up. So you can do a little bit physical with it, but the majority of it is emotional. Whatever the emotion is coming up, you do your best to welcome it. If you're noticing primary reaction to emotion, sometimes these are called meta emotions, thoughts and feelings about thoughts and feelings. Do your best to accept whatever's coming up, particularly the thing that's coming up most for you. So if you're disappointed in yourself because you're angry and you're attempting to be angry less often or diminish your anger some, I used to have this one a lot. If you're disappointed and you're mostly noticing the disappointment, then just accept the disappointment. If you feel like you have the space to accept some of the anger too, accept some of the anger too. But you start where you are and you do your best with it and you get better at it as you go. This is cool in speaking for a number of reasons. Just the other day, I was talking about a situation where I was in Toastmasters. I was doing my speaking role. I felt I was feeling a lot of pressure, so I was stumbling over my words more than I normally did. But at the end of the meeting, I felt like I had a challenge. I'd been stretched, and I felt better than I expected to feel about a speech where I stumbled quite a bit. A piece of that's acceptance too. When things are coming up, when you had things come up and go a little sideways, the more you're there and the more you are practiced being okay with your emotions or feelings or whatever's coming up, the more when something comes up that normally would be frustrating or you wouldn't want or you'd have a strong negative emotional reaction to it, you have a more or less neutral reaction to it. Or in some cases, you might even have a somewhat positive reaction to it. It's just what's coming up. It's just what's happening. And you do your best, you navigate it as best you can. And when you face those kind of challenging situations, particularly when you face them with more acceptance, you gain the ability to move with it more effectively. And sometimes to go into something like a flow state. Acceptance is a very powerful thing. And again, it's a good thing to practice anytime you notice challenging emotions come up. if you want, and you're practicing relaxation regularly after you do your breathing, whether you do 30 seconds of that or you count downward from 5, whatever you do with your relaxed, slow breathing, at the end of that, you can just notice whatever feelings are coming up. And if there's any of them, a lot of times there won't be much if you're really relaxed. But if there's anything coming up, you can notice it, just accept it. And to the best of your ability, if you can, welcome it. And if there's nothing particular coming up, or if you want to take it a step further, you can think about the most recent challenging emotion you felt and go back to it in this relaxed space as much as you can. Now, you can do this step at a time. So when I say as much as you can go back in a little bit and then kind of accept as best you can, then step out, and then go a little further in and accept as best you can, step back out. So you can go a bit at the time if it was particularly intense. Now, sometimes if you're just frustrated on your morning commute or something like that, you can go back and see all of it or experience all of it you're able to experience now and accept it, maybe even welcome some of it. That's something you can practice daily to build your acceptance. Again, this is going to help you throughout life, but it helps you with facing challenging situations when you're speaking, helps you be more fluid in your speaking, more creative in your speaking. Things that will come to you while you're speaking, you'll have a better grasp of and a better ability to utilize them during the speech, the presentation, the class, whatever it is, than you would otherwise when you've learned to be more accepting. I'm Ben Langley. Thanks very much for spending some time with me today. We'll talk again soon.